Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely dismantle everything you thought you knew about a good night's rest. We are diving deep into the unified biological framework of human sleep and uncovering why focusing on how long you sleep might actually be fundamentally backward. We're going to explore the hidden mechanisms that connect the precise timing of your sleep to your autonomic nervous system, your heart, your brain, and ultimately, your overall longevity. So let me ask you this. Why is it that you can log a solid 8 hours in bed, but still wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck? Well, to figure that out, we have to challenge a universally accepted paradigm. The idea that the total duration of your sleep is the ultimate metric for your health. For decades, we've all been told the same thing, right? Get your 8 hours. But what if focusing solely on duration is like obsessively checking how much fuel is in your car, while completely ignoring the fact that your engine's timing belt is broken? 10 million. That is a staggering number. Specifically, it's 10 million hours of objective, hard accelerometer data tracked across more than 60,000 participants in the UK Biobank. When researchers at Flinders University analyzed this massive data set, it essentially shattered our traditional understanding of human longevity. It gave us this unprecedented microscopic look at how our daily sleep behaviors accumulate into really profound biological outcomes over years and even decades. Which brings us to part 1, the sleep duration myth. Here is the twist that absolutely shocked chronobiologists. This massive cohort study proved that sleep regularity is actually a stronger predictor of all-cause mortality than sleep duration. Let that sink in for a second. Going to bed and waking up at the exact same time every single day protects your life more effectively than just trying to log a certain number of hours on a totally erratic schedule. It turns out your body's complex biological systems prioritize predictability over sheer volume. To measure this, researchers use a clinical metric called the Sleep Regularity Index, or SRI. And honestly, the data here is just wild. The top quintiles of regular sleepers, meaning the people who maintain a highly consistent day-to-day schedule, experienced a massive 20 to 48% lower risk of all-cause mortality compared to irregular sleepers. They also saw massive drops in cardiometabolic and cancer-related mortality. But to truly grasp why this happens, we have to look beneath the epidemiology. Let's move on to part 2, unlocking the master clock. So what's actually happening inside your body? Well, deep in your brain sits the suprachiasmatic nucleus, basically your body's master clock. Now, autonomous molecular clocks also live in nearly every organ. Your heart, your liver, your immune cells. When your sleep schedule bounces around all over the place, your master clock literally uncouples from those peripheral clocks. It's like an orchestra playing entirely out of sync, which triggers a systemic cascade of autonomic dysfunction. And that leads us to part 3, nervous system and HRV. Think of your nervous system as a constant tug of war. Circadian misalignment actively suppresses your vagal brake by about 8 to 15%. Now, this vagal brake is your parasympathetic nervous system's way of naturally calming you down. When it gets suppressed by an irregular sleep schedule, your body is essentially forced into a state of sustained fight-or-flight vigilance. You know that wired, anxious feeling you get at 2 in the morning? Yeah, that's your heart rate variability dropping, meaning your capacity to adapt to stress is severely compromised. Because you're stuck in this hypervigilant state, your daily cortisol curve just flattens out. In a healthy system, cortisol drops at night so you can dive into deep, restorative N3 and REM sleep. But with irregular sleep, cortisol stays elevated all night long. This directly inhibits that vagal activity we just talked about and totally shatters your sleep architecture. It creates this compounding doom loop. Poor sleep timing drives your stress hormones up, and then those exact same stress hormones prevent the deep sleep your nervous system desperately needs to recover. And the fallout hits your entire cardiovascular system too. Part 4, heart health and inflammation. Controlled lab studies show that acute circadian misalignment increases your 24-hour systolic blood pressure by 3.0 millimeters of mercury and your diastolic by 1.5. But here's the really scary part. Misalignment reduces your normal, healthy overnight blood pressure dip by a shocking 21%. So instead of resting, your vascular bed is exposed to elevated mechanical strain all night long. Without you even realizing it, you're silently accelerating arterial stiffness as the years go by. And down at the cellular level, it's essentially self-inflicted chronic jet lag. Just, without the fun vacation. That sustained overnight surge in stress hormones, like norepinephrine, binds to your immune cells. This kicks off a reaction that releases a cascade of pro-inflammatory cytokines, like IL-6 and CRP. Your irregular schedule is quite literally tricking your immune system into a state of chronic, low-grade, systemic inflammation. Now, let's look at what this does to your mind in Part 5, Defending the Aging Brain. This is where the stakes get incredibly high. In a study looking at over 88,000 people, the ones with the most irregular sleep schedules, the bottom 5%, had a shocking 53% higher risk of incident dementia compared to those right in the middle. The link between sleep regularity and cognitive preservation isn't just a suggestion, it's an absolute biological imperative.
Why does this happen? Well, it's all about your brain's nightly power washing cycle, called glymphatic clearance. Sleep critically regulates the flushing out of neurotoxic proteins, like amyloid beta and tau. But circadian disruption biologically inhibits this clearance, essentially speeding up the accumulation of amyloid plaques. And clinical evidence shows this doesn't just correlate with long-term dementia risk, it directly correlates with immediate, day-to-day deficits in attention, executive function, and memory.
But the good news is, maintaining high global sleep health isn't just about avoiding a diagnosis decades down the line. It actively supercharges your objective cognitive performance today. Plus, the data shows that psychosocial variables, like anxiety, are massive mediators here. When you stabilize your sleep timing, you stabilize your autonomic nervous system, which directly mitigates the underlying anxiety that so often ruins your focus and emotional resilience. So, how do we actually fix this? Part 6, Optimizing your sleep regularity. It's actually elegantly simple. By focusing on the regularity of your schedule, rather than constantly stressing over the total duration, you fix the underlying mechanics. You align your homeostatic sleep drive, that's the sleep pressure that builds up while you're awake, with your internal circadian cycle. When those two forces lock in together, you maximize your deep and REM sleep, you skyrocket your heart rate variability, and you give your nervous system the profound parasympathetic recovery it's been begging for. All of this science brings us to an incredibly powerful paradigm shift. Consistency is the true biological anchor for lifelong health and longevity. It's a completely free, highly effective intervention to lower inflammation, protect your aging brain, and preserve your cardiovascular system. So, think deeply about that. Your body literally craves predictability at a molecular level. You hold the power to take control of your autonomic nervous system and build a foundation of lifelong resilience simply by defending your sleep schedule. The only question left is, what time will you set your biological clock to tonight?